All right, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a deeply personal, incredibly raw journal entry titled Fear That Broke Me. We talk so much about sweeping national policies, laws, and societal structures in this broad, abstract way. We see them scrolling by on the news as headlines or bullet points. But today, we're zooming all the way in. We're going to look at the exact moment a massive policy collides with a single fragile human life. We're stepping into the shoes of a young trans woman named Rayo, looking at a letter she wrote in the absolute dead of night. It's a heavy, heart-wrenching story about survival, and I promise you, it's going to completely shift how you view the invisible impact of the systems operating all around us.
This really grounds us immediately in the stark physical reality of the author, Rayo. You can just see the emotion in the handwriting. It's hurried, it's visceral, it's literally pouring across the page. And look at the timestamp, May 12th, 2026, at exactly 2:15 in the morning. Just imagine that context for a second. The rest of the world is completely quiet, everyone's asleep, but Rayo, she is wide awake, writing in a state of sheer distress. This isn't some carefully polished op-ed for a Sunday paper. It's an immediate, unfiltered snapshot of a mind in crisis. It captures the exact second the pressure just became way too much to bear.
And we start right in the middle of this midnight panic, which sets a really emotionally charged foundation for understanding the real-world impact we're going to explore today. She writes that she woke up crying out of fear, and she didn't wake up from a bad dream, right? She woke up to a living nightmare. It's that kind of bone-chilling dread that literally jolts you awake and leaves you paralyzed in the dark. Now, to understand exactly why Rayo is experiencing this profound level of terror, we have to look outside her room. We have to look at the broader world and the external events that pushed her into this state.
Section 1. The Policy Domino Effect.
So we can see the exact chain reaction right here. Think of it like a line of really heavy dominoes. The first domino is this massive national event. Prime Minister Modi announces a sudden work-for-home situation. Now, for a lot of people, a policy like that might just mean setting up a laptop at the kitchen table. No big deal. But for Rayo, it aggressively knocks over the second domino. It creates this immediate, terrifying fear that she is going to lose her only job because, as she writes, it's a situation she just isn't able to fight. And if she loses that job, well, the third and heaviest domino inevitably falls, completely cutting off her ability to afford her absolute essentials, and most importantly, her hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. So a policy announced on a massive national stage echoes all the way down into her wallet and her healthcare.
Section 2. The Lifeline of HRT. The crucial point here is captured perfectly in Rayo's own profound analogy. For her, HRT isn't just medicine. It is the absolute difference between feeling happiness alive and letting what she describes as poisons take control of her body. With HRT, it's like the light is finally switched on in her life. It brings alignment. It brings peace. But without it, her own biology becomes a hostile force. It's literally like taking away oxygen from someone who has finally, after years of struggling, learned how to breathe freely. She's facing this terrifying prospect of her own body turning into a cage all over again.
The stakes here are presented as literal life and death. Rayo expresses that without access to her vital health care, taking her own life might feel like the only option. It is incredibly heavy and honestly heartbreaking to read, but it's absolutely crucial that we don't look away from it. We are seeing the complete collapse of hope here. When a medical lifeline is tied to a fragile job, and that job is threatened by some external policy shift completely out of your control, the alternative isn't just getting by on less. For Rayo, the alternative feels completely unsurvivable.
Section 3. Exhaustion in a Binary World. At this point, Rayo zooms out from her dark room to society at large. She expresses this complete bewilderment and alienation from a binary world that she feels makes her basic survival needlessly difficult. Imagine trying to navigate a massive, complex city, but all the street signs are in a language you don't speak, and the roads are literally designed to push you out. That is the binary world she's describing. It's a rigid, two-box system that flat-out refuses to accommodate her reality, leaving her feeling utterly disconnected and honestly just confused as to why existence has to be this hard. She lists out the compounding structural battle she faces every single day, from the initial fight for basic human rights all the way to the financial burden of taxes on medicines. It really highlights how these systemic hurdles just pile up on marginalized groups. Think of it like running a marathon, but at every single mile marker, someone forces you to drop another heavy brick into your backpack. First, you have to fight simply to be recognized. Then, the very medicine that keeps you alive is taxed, penalizing your existence financially. Like she puts it, it's just so hard for a trans girl to have anything. This is what the crushing weight of systemic marginalization actually looks like.
Using the poignant analogy of a war, she describes herself as a wounded soldier, completely drained of the energy required to simply exist as a trans girl in this society. I mean, she didn't sign up for this draft, yet she finds herself on the front lines every single day. A wounded soldier doesn't need another hill to capture, right? They need a medic. They need safety. Rayo is telling us that her reserves are completely empty. The resilience demanded of her is a well that is run completely dry.
Section 4. A final plea.
The letter ends not with some grand call to political action, but with a simple, desperate plea for empathy from a world where she currently feels entirely unsupported. Please understand my discomfort. Please understand me. Notice how she merges the words together, no one. It's a small detail, but it reflects the hurried, unedited reality of her writing in that exact moment. It's like a whisper into the void. It strips away all the high-level policy debates and socioeconomic structures and leaves just a vulnerable human being asking to be seen. She is asking the reader, asking us to just pause and acknowledge the sheer weight of what she is carrying.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a question to consider about those hidden emotional ripple effects of the policies happening around us every single day. When a broad decision is made in a Capitol building or on a broadcast, who is left at 2:15 in the morning terrified of losing their lifeline? What seems like a simple administrative shift to some can literally be the start of a devastating war for the vulnerable. Thank you so much for diving deep into Rayo's story with me today. I really hope this framework helps you look at the news and the actual people impacted by it with a fresh, empathetic perspective.